We're going to start off with a game. I'm going to be in open guard. I'm going to start on my back, and I have this position where my knees are sort of close to my nipples, my feet are in the air. So the constraints of the game are that my feet cannot touch the mat, and I cannot use my hands to frame. I'll explain like why. I'll let you guys play the game, and I'll explain what I'm trying to do, what habits I want to form when we're playing like this. So basically, Frank's trying to get past the line of either the line of my knees or trying to get past the line of my ankles. So like he steps in, right? So again, like I can't use my hands to post on Frank. I can use my elbows on the mat to help me move, right? But I also can't put my feet on the mat. So I have to, in order to move with Frank, I have to connect with him. However it is, I do to help him stay in front. Keep him in front of me. Got it? So if I put my foot on the mat, I fail. If Frank steps off to the side and I use a frame, I fail. I have to find a way to use my feet as hands. So you can also like grab with your toes, right? And then reposition yourself. You can hook, you can post at the hip, you can post at the knee, you can post on the shin, whatever. We're just trying to stay in front of our frame right now. Things that might help is keeping kind of like this concave position. So my head is off of the mat, and then like this helps me retain some degree of mobility while I use my guard. There will be a time where you need to put your head on the mat. We'll explain that later. But like if I'm just flat the whole time, it's really hard for me to move. So I kind of want this curve in my back so I can sort of just ball up. You're kind of like a ball moving around and trying to keep your partner in front of you. Some questions. We'll do 2 minutes on top, 2 minutes on bottom. Just like trying your best to not put your feet on the mat and not using your frames. 2 minutes on top, 2 minutes on bottom, and then maybe you'll just run it twice. Questions? Alright, on 2 and 2. this was really to teach you guys, like, there are two things that I want you guys to understand, which is one, alignment. So like, if I end up putting my foot on the ground and I'm not careful, like, let's say like Frank starts stepping this way and I put my foot on the ground, I'm one sort of like, my spine is sort of just out of alignment. Like, my body's like facing to the right and then my lower body's sort of facing up. Whereas like, if I had kept my foot up and decided to just like pummel onto his leg, I'm sort of keeping my upper body connected to my lower body. When I put my foot on the mat, like, I'm not saying this is wrong, but I'm also exposing my hip right here. And so like, if I'm here and I'm putting my foot on the ground, he can drop in and take up the space near the hip. This is not what I want, especially if I'm doing guard attention. So the point of like keeping my feet off of the mat is basically to protect my hip space here, and I'm always looking to stay up. Like the reason why, like when someone does like a leg drag, the reason why this is bad for me is because my spine is starting to sort of rotate, right? And so like, that's why they always say you should turn back into them, right? So I'm like framing so I can get my upper body get aligned with my lower body. Okay. So we'll play this game again, but this time we'll add in the hands. Okay? So same thing, you're just trying to retain your guard, always thinking about protecting my hip space here. But now you can use your hands to frame. This will obviously make it nicer because like we're beings with four limbs, so we can use our hands to frame to readjust. But always thinking about like I'm trying to keep this space right here protected, and then also trying to realign myself constantly. And I can now use my frames and I can push, which makes certain movements a lot easier. Some other things to think about. When I'm supine like this, I don't want Frank just grabbing both my feet. Right? This is what happens. Right? So now like, I'm out of alignment, and now I can figure out a way to get back into it. So when I'm on my back, I generally like to play with one leg up, one leg down, right? So if you try to grab both, I always have the ability to figure out like a way to swim, and it's harder for him. Now he has to break his posture to grab that leg, and then he has to start coming. So I'm keeping my legs a little bit asymmetrical, and I'm always going to be looking to frame like the part of the body that he leads with. So I'm here, if he starts like cutting the flank, right? There's a bunch of things that you can do here. Like one is like I can strip his grips and I can basically look to connect. Again, like keeping my space protected. If he's over here and I just put my leg down and try to kick escape, he could drop down, right? So I'm trying to keep in this like sort of ball configuration. But also when he cuts a flank, I can also choose to frame, right? Frame like the body part that he's leading with, just to reset myself. So think of it as like you're this like ball, and you don't want to get deformed, right? If he's able to like twist your spine, you're no longer a ball, right? If I put my foot down and he flattens me out, I'm no longer a ball. And then we also want to pay attention to just like overextending, right? If I'm like this all the time, like yeah, he's never going to pass my guard, but I'm also not going to get any offense off. And so like picking the times to like extend your leg to make connections so you can pull yourself back in alignment is really important as well. So just things to pay attention to as you guys are playing this game. So we'll do the same thing. Top person looking past the hip line, past the ankle line. Bottom person looking to keep them in front. This time you can use your arms. Yeah.
So we aren't allowed to have our feet touch at all. From my
You can still. You can touch your feet now.
Okay.
So you can put your feet on the mat. Just understand that like
that's not the point.
I would prefer that if you're playing on a hip,
right,
to not touch your foot on the top foot, right?
So
you're exposing the hip here. if you want to do it, you can always like have a bottom foot just move,
Okay.
right?
But
You
not
can switch
actually.
this. Yeah. Just because like someone might take advantage of you opening up your hip. Yeah. Any other questions? Alright, 1, 2, 1, 2.
I know. That's weird. You're like rolling away. Towards. It is eventually.
and limbs are available to you. Frank's looking to pass completely, so Frank's objective is to basically get past my legs, cover the hips, cover the shoulders. This is the winning condition for him. For me, again, I'm looking to retain my guard, but what I want you guys to do now is not only retain your guard, but look for opportunities to connect to your partner using any kind of connection and get their hands to the mat. So like, maybe in the course of like doing my retention, I connect, I ball up, that's a win for me. So learning how to connect to your partner and begin to off balance it. You can think of guard literally as like, so you're this ball and you have your limbs and you're essentially like performing distance management. So Frank's like looking to come in, he's looking to close the distance. All these like frames and putting my feet in front of him are just forms of distance management. And then there's gonna be a constant grip fight. So Frank's trying to get his grips, and then like I'm looking to swim in and get my grips. I would recommend like, I don't know, use like, you can basically like look at getting any kind of grips that you want first, like maybe hooking the back of the knee. Now you can connect your hand to this leg, and then now you can start looking at entering in some form of guard, and then looking at how to manipulate, carry his body weight in order to get his hands to the mat. So it's like this, just like a fight for grips. And especially in no-gi, when grips are so slippery, it's a constant battle. Just because I get like one grip, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be robust. You know, so Frank will throw it off, right? You might throw it off, and then it's like, I go straight to my next grip. And so it's just like whoever, it feels a lot like whoever loosens up on this mental battle of getting grips is going to lose the advantage. So it's not only kind of like a physical conditioning, but it's also like a mental conditioning of like, I want to get grips that I want in order to initiate my attack. So yeah, that's the goal. Top person's looking to pass, bottom person's looking to guard, retain, get hands on the mat for sufficient off balance. They don't even need to come up. As long as you're able to off balance them, it's good enough. Questions? Alright, 1, 2, 1, 2. We'll do it again in 2 minutes on top, 2 minutes on bottom. on top or the bottom, vice versa. Do this exercise just because, like, if you ever do any sort of competing, like, this is a super chaotic place. Like, you know, limbs flying everywhere, right? And this is why, like, we want to get to passing positions where we have, like, one knee pinned, their legs are apart, or their knees are together. So it's like, this is why we have positions like this cut through position, or like Jake Lane, whatever you say, or like something like a headquarters, or like body lock, because it just reduces the chaos and the amount of limb configurations that we can have. So we'll do J point now. So like, let's say Frank gets to a J point, which is basically like he's controlling this near side leg with a hand on the knee, trying to push it to the mat, and then he has his head and his entire shoulder girdle blocking this top leg here. So like, we'll play just like a game like we've been doing first, because I want to demonstrate like the difference between when you're in open guard and you have your head off the mat and you're sort of like spinning around like a ball, versus when you get to a position like here in J point. Like, if I have my head off the mat, like, this is not particularly good for me, just because like when I have my head off the mat, it's harder for me to like, I'm basically like doing a super crunch to try and get my pummels going. And like, I have pretty good flexibility, so like maybe I'm able to force it with my own hand in order to get like some sort of limb back in front of Frank. But it's much easier when I put my head on the mat to like start bringing my foot in. Putting my head on the mat also allows me to carry his weight a lot better. So like, I'm framing, right? And now when Frank pushes in, like all of his force just goes through my body into the mat. Whereas like, if I have my head off of the mat, I kind of like, I'm losing stability here. Like he pushed in and you could see me like basically start to turn a little bit, which is not necessarily what I want. So like, I put my head on the mat, now I'm able to carry this weight much better. I swing my foot in, and then when I'm ready, I can bring my head off of the mat and start inverting under him if you want to do the taps. So it's like understanding when to be a ball and when to have good foundation on the mat in order to frame your partner. So if someone's like pressuring you super hard, I usually put my head on the mat. I can carry the weight a lot better, I can frame, I can make space, I can swim my tumbles in. And then once I have good grips, I bring my head off the mat so I can bring my legs back into play. So I want you guys to sort of just play around with this. We'll play in J point, so have your partner start off in J point, right here. And then just ask them to like maintain this sort of distance and pressure in. And then like just ask them for reactions on dealing with this far and near leg. And then like figure out like for you, let's frame keeping my head on the mat. Once I have a lot of frames in front, now maybe I can start thinking about other things to do. So we'll just do like 1 minute on top, 1 minute on bottom. So you guys can get like an idea of like what it feels like when you have your head off the mat and when your head on the mat. What's your I'll do one, two. We'll do 2 minutes. Top and bottom.
going this way, but just like as you look for that. Yeah, it's like maybe some guys are closer to the base. When I get this last bit, yeah, it makes more sense just to go straight here. But maybe you're further back and your arms will be close. Then it's, instead of attacking this first, just other than
So we'll give you guys a couple more things to look at in this position. So we're in the skate point position, and he's pressuring me. Like the way that I want to recover, so like I kind of want to figure out what's going on with my body, right? So if he has like a shin in front of, or just any kind of like limb in front of my bottom foot, this is not so good for me because like even if I'm able to frame, do like a high pummel and connect, if something is blocking my bottom foot from coming back and squaring up, like I'm basically just stuck here. And then now maybe he starts heading towards my back over here. This is not good for me. Right? So when I'm thinking about like recovery, I'm always thinking about like freeing this bottom foot so I can always come back and square up with my partner. So just taking note of where your bottom foot is can help you figure out like what needs to happen. Sometimes you can even just like frame and like you don't even have to, you could swing like into for a lasso, you can swing onto the shoulder, you can even swing like onto the knee here, and then basically pull yourself back into alignment. So these are more like early stages when you can still sort of maneuver around your partner in order to regain alignment with them. During the later stages, let's say like I really can't get past right here on the bottom. What we can do is we can high pummel and then now basically go the other way. So now I'm basically just inverting in order to regain alignment with it. Again, like, what are we doing here? So like, the reason why I invert is because I'm trying to keep my upper body connected with my lower body, right? And then I'm protecting that hip space. So I'm basically inverting. At no point are my hips ever exposed. And then now I can basically face it. And then there are times when, let's say, like I didn't get this like head positioning right, and he starts pushing me, and now we're facing away, right? The bad thing to do is try to turn it back into him. Why? Because like, let's say I try to turn back into him, I'm kind of exposing my hip space here. I'm also relatively out of alignment with him. Because he's pushing me to face this way, it's really hard to face back into him. So what do? We go with it. So we go with it and we keep our upper body connected with our lower body. And I kind of use my hip as a frame. So as he pushes me this way, I come up onto my shoulder and I basically like stick his ass into his face, right? And then I basically bring it over and I come back into alignment. It's basically called the running man skate. When someone pressures you so hard that you need to turn away, I recommend like a frame, like a stiff arm frame, and then I'm basically getting onto my shoulder, and then just kind of like doing a half roll. So I kind of use my hip as a frame, and then while I'm protecting my hip space, I'm keeping my upper and my lower body aligned as I return to face. So we'll just do a little bit of drilling with these three. We have like early things where you guys can figure out how to pummel back in. Taking note of like freeing your bottom leg so you can re-square up. We have instances where like it's really difficult to get this bottom leg in, so we get kind of like an anchor, and then we also can just invert. Notice how like you're basically like a ball during that time. is up, so I'm kind of rotating off small with my back. And then the last one where you get pressured so hard, you want to frame. Again, turning into a ball. And then just kind of like doing a half rotation back to face your partner. Any questions?
The last piece is the obviously it's not worth it, but if they collapse that frame before you do the weight stage right away.
So you're saying like,
When they close the distance, obviously if they close the distance, then obviously they're just going to throw.
yeah. But again, like, what's the similarity here? It's like, even if you do turtle, you're keeping your upper body aligned with your bottom, right? And then like, turtle inherently, you are protecting your hip space again. Not the best position, but depending on the rule set, you won't get scored on. Then you're a turtle, maybe you can sit around for 5 seconds. All right, we'll do a little bit of live drilling. Try to give your partner just like we're not going like, you know, full rolling, but you know, some animated reactions. Yeah. All right, on to 1, 2.
on.
Alright, we'll put it all together. So, also for I forgot. So we're in this J point position right here. Like if Frank starts pushing me, right? Like and then, yeah, if he just starts pushing me, I might just end up here. One thing you can also do is you can self-frame. I forgot to talk about this, which is basically like I reinforce my own. It's like a kickstand. I just put a kickstand on the side. Now Frank tries to push. It kind of just runs into this kickstand here. So that's also like a great early way to just not get run over. And combined with like being able to take the force by putting your head on the ground, like go ahead and push. It's just really annoying, right? And now I'm able to carry a lot of his weight. I can still be framing, and then now I can bring my foot in. Now I'm lifting my head off the mat and starting to rotate. So self-framing is really good too. And it's just like figuring out when to alternate between like, all right, I'm framing, getting my distance, getting my limbs in front, and then now I'm balling up in order to try and get connections and start off balance and framing. So this last game we'll play, put it all together. So Frank's in this J point position. I start with my head on the ground. We'll start from here. Frank's looking to pass, whether it's like coming this way, whether it's making my knees point the other way, ending up covering my hips, covering my shoulder line past the legs. My goal again is to get Frank's hands to touch the mat, which means I have to make sure I distance manage, get my feet in front, make connections, and off balance, which usually just means like I'm getting connected with Frank and then I'm kind of like balling up whatever it is in order to off balance it. Do what you know. Try to keep these like concepts in your head, and I think it's just building off of everything that we've done today. Any questions? We'll do 2 minutes on top, 2 minutes on bottom. We'll do it maybe twice, and then I'll class. On 2 and 2. I'm able to, I'll try and keep it like as kind of like heel to butt as much as possible. So now it's just like you try to use that bottom foot, right? And then like, depending on like how I want to do it, like I could just start figuring out a way to bring another type of ledge. So like now, I'm sort of pointing you away with my entire body, so I can just sit here and like try and get your coast back. It's just tough, right? So like, depending on whether I'm standing, it's like I'm trying to nullify that use of the leg, right? If I'm monitoring this top leg really well, then I can maybe swap it in. So, finding a way to immobilize the legs, both the top side and the bottom side. That's kind of what I'm thinking about.
So in that situation, the shin is just do the top versus the edge, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the
But
bottom.
that's why you have that invert.
Right. Defensively, you want to have kind of like one in, one out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and that's why like when you see like the photos like they pass, just like stepping on this leg, it's just another way of challenging, right? Whether it's this, Joseph Chen likes to do this like he basically like brings his entire like body right here, just walking this, that. I think like the ultimate goal is first to immobilize the bottom leg, and then eventually, if you want, you start to point their relative alignment the opposite way, so it's harder for them to turn and face you. Any other questions?
Would you do stuff that top of each one here?
Yeah. So this is the thing that happens a lot. So like, if we're here, if we're here, and like people have really good like ability to bring this in, you can like just literally hand fight, right? Just bring it out. And then what I recommend is replacing your hand and your forearm here. So now there's no space for it to come in, right? And then they might have to go all the way to the other shoulder, and then from here I go to do other things. And we start moving things.
So there's definitely a shotgun in the front line too.
Yeah, he pulls my elbow and there's a shot. Other things you can do is like, you can also bait it, like let them. So let them bring this last away, right? And then what you can do is like shuck it high, like this, get the pass in a different style. And then also like when he swims it in, I've also seen like I take it and I feed it again into my legs right here, something like a half butterfly pass. So there are like a lot of ways you can deal with it. From the simple, just like I'm just gonna find it, throw it out, and like bring my head and my arm back in so you can't deal with it. You can also like change the angle and shut it off, right? Or you can just turn it into a completely different passing situation. I go half butterfly, bring it down. Again, it's like now it's good for me still because I'm immobilizing this top leg by putting heel foot. And then now I'm done half butterfly passes.
Now you're still monitoring the bottom leg at the same time?
Yeah. Yeah, like if I'm in this situation, he's actually quite immobilized. If I'm in a half butterfly situation. But this is a completely different passing situation. Alright. If we don't have any more questions, I'll still be here, so if you want to ask anything, we'll be here. That's it for class today. Right now, it's 6 to 6.
Thanks, Frank. Thank you.
Hey!
Okay, goodbye everybody. See you later. Yeah.
Where's the end when I was on bottom? What was I doing wrong when you were to the back?
Well,